Toastmasters Club. I am Toastmaster Chiran, the Sergeant at Arms for the current club committee and responsible for organizing the meeting hall and other requirements for the meeting to commence. So before we commence the meeting, I request all of you to please put your phones on silent mode. Please do it within the next 10 seconds. If you are called on stage, please refrain from talking about sex, religion and politics in order to not hurt anyone's sentiment. And if you wish to move in and out of the meeting hall, please do it when a person on stage completes their speech and you will hear applause waiting. Thank you. When we were young, we aspired to become something or do something. But over the course of time, this might have changed because of the experience and the knowledge we gained in that period, and also because of the influence of some experienced people in our life. I too, as a young boy, wanted to become a soldier. But over the course of my studies, this has changed due to an inspiration from my maternal uncle, who was an engineer, and he had an innovative solutions for everyday, day-to-day life challenges. So I just wanted to be an engineer like him and change the world. So when I started this, I was really skeptical about it, but he has persuaded me, and I'm very glad that I had an uncle who had an experience and the knowledge which helped me to become an engineer. And right now I serve the community as best as possible as an engineer, and I wish to inspire others to serve better. So amongst us, we have a gentleman who wanted to be a conductor as a young boy. So I'm sure he would have got an inspiration from our superstar Rajnikant. So I'm also sure that if he would have followed that path, he would have been another superstar of this country because of his boyish good looks and his dialogue delivery. And fortunately for us, he has pursued his education, graduation, and then the business management, which has helped him to take and lead a division in a large MNC called Diversity India. And I said fortunately because he is with us and he is leading our club through this term. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the superstar president of our club, Toastmaster Vaikyanathan.
I wish I could have become a conductor, but that didn't happen. So thanks, Toastmaster Chiran. I call to order meeting number 1380 of our club. So minutes of one of the greatest meetings that we have ever had last week was shared by our secretary, Toastmaster Vishwanath, and I hope the minutes of the previous meetings was in order. Thank you very much. The minutes of the previous meeting 1379 stands fast. I could see few guests who have come here for the very first time. So may I request them to please rise and then get themselves introduced by their name and where they work or where they study. Starting from you.
Hello everyone, very good evening. My name is Sunita. I'm an aeronautical engineer by profession. I work with the Boeing company.
Boeing? Oh, flying places.
Yes.
Excellent. Sorry? What's your name? Anish. Okay. You're studying. Okay. How about you, sir?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Vishal Jain. I'm doing my BCom from Jain College.
BCom from Jain. Sir, how about you?
Good evening, my name is Viswas. I'm partner with the recruitment firm.
Okay. So, may I get your number, please? I might need yours. And how about you, sir?
Good evening, everyone. I am Toastmaster Tanesh. I am a member of Bangalore Toastmasters Club from Bangalore. So, I am an entrepreneur by profession. I was here for a business trip. So, I thought, why not see the Toastmasters culture in Bangalore as well? So
Excellent, excellent.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rishi. I'm a student at Bangalore Veterinary College.
So you're doing your BBSc?
Yeah.
Members, how can we welcome this wonderful guest? Am I audible? I think it's too loud, isn't it? Am I audible now?
Yes.
So you can take your seats, please. In the Olympics, there used to be a competition which is called as a moving gear competition, so which used to happen many years back. So what happens is a target keeps moving on either sides. It can move 20 meters onto the left or onto the right. So the shooter needs to stand at least 100 meters away, and then you need to take a shot and tap. Okay, so that competition is not there now. So this particular competition, the moment I say 100 meters and then a moving target, you might need to take an aim and then shoot it. We all think that it is meant for young people with strong arms, great hand-to-eye coordination, and an excellent mental agility, and more importantly, an upper body stamina, isn't it? So only young men can do. But in 1908, a man who is 60 years of age, 60 years, so came onto the stage, took an aim, and then shot. Won the gold medal when he was 60. His name was Oscar Schwann. Not only that, in the year 1912, 4 years later, again, when he was 64 years of age, again, he took a shot. One, not once, twice, 2 gold medals. One in the team competition and the other one is an individual competition. So after that 4 years, he was 72 years of age, and again he participated in a competition which is Olympics, 1921 Olympics or 1922 Olympics. And then again, he won the 4th place. When he was 72 years of age, he participated in a competition which is meant for young men, and then he came 4th. And by virtue of this, he became the oldest Olympic gold medalist, and he also became the oldest person to have represented a country in Olympics, 72 years. And with this, he inspired a lot of younger generation of Swedes. He's from Sweden. A lot of younger generation in Sweden took up shooting as a sport. So in this small story, what we can easily figure out is this gentleman not only inspired his countrymen to take up shooting, but despite being an Olympic shooter at the age of 60, his aspiration was to be a part of successful Olympics. 1908, gold medalist. 1912, again gold medalist. Again 1916, Olympic didn't happen. The year 1920, in fact not 1920. 1920, he was again a part of Olympics and he was number 4. Right? So it's not the age, whether young or old or experienced, inspiration or what is the other word? Aspiration. It doesn't depend on age. Anyone can aspire to become the better version of themselves at any age. Right? So in this particular story, this man, despite winning a medal on 60th age, aspired to become an Olympic champion when he was 72. A classic example, isn't it? Yeah? So aspiration at the age of 68 to become an Olympic champion. And it inspired a whole lot of people in this own country. So, aspiring to become a better version of yourself, or inspiring people or successive generation, is nothing to do with age, nothing to do with experience. If a person aspires to become a better version of themselves, then he will have a better attitude and he will set an example and people get inspired by it. With that note, let me introduce you to a person who is going to take us through the rest of the meeting. He is called as the Toastmaster of the day, or MC for the day. For the first time comers, he is going to take us through the rest of the meeting. This man is known for 3 things. I personally like 3 of his wonderful qualities. One is his ability to think on the spot. No matter whatever topic that you get, his extempore speaking is top class. Number 2, his clarity of thought. The moment you get to speak to someone, you will be able to figure out how intellectual he is or she is, right? With the quality and the depth of the thinking that you can. This gentleman has got impeccable quality of thought. And the third one, the writing skills. Once I got to read the article that got published in Hindu Daily, which was written by this gentleman. Wow, golden.
superb piece of writing skills, excellent extempore speaker, and more importantly, top class clarity of thinking is what this Toastmaster is made up of. But he always shy away from taking responsibilities on the club, despite me pushing him for the past many years. It doesn't take one, but I hope this term he will try to get one. But ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome the master speaker who is going to take us to the rest of the Toastmaster.
It was an amazing start to this evening already. Vishal, Toastmaster Vishwanath and I were already stuck in the rain for half an hour. And that was a beautiful segue to a couple of stories that I really wanted to tell you today about inspiration and aspiration. Of course, Toastmaster Vaidya has already told us a couple of amazing stories back there in Sweden of two amazing shooters, sportsmen. But because I've got only two examples that I've prepared, I'm going to humanize this a little bit and tell you what happened with me probably a year ago. Now, my stories are always linked to travel for some reason or the other. And like I said, this drenching in the rain that I received a couple of maybe 10-15 minutes ago, that was a proper segue to what I want to narrate. I was on this trek to the Everest Base Camp last October. And on the trek, the story is not about me. On the trek, I met a couple. Now, the husband was 56, the wife was 54. And they were doing this trek to the Everest Base Camp, which is a 12-day arduous trek, going from 10,000 feet to 12,000 feet to 15,000, eventually 17,500 feet. And now this couple, they knew that physically they were not at their peak, but mentally, emotionally, they were strong. So what did they do? Every day they used to start before everyone else, so that they can make up for their loss of pace later on. And at the end of the day, they would be there at the destination or the camp for the end of the day, without fail and without complaint. And what I noticed, apart from the resilience, was their kindness, was their optimism. They were always there for people like me or people like some others who would fall ill during the trek or who are not at their best, because trekking, one day you are in high spirits. The next day, probably because it rains or because the weather is not great, your spirits are not that great. But this couple was always there for those people whose spirits were not at their peak. On the final day, on the summit day rather, I was watching them climb a hillock of about 200 feet. Now, I climbed that in about 20 minutes, they took about 30-35 minutes. I don't know what made me ask them, but I wanted a picture of it. So I went to them and I asked them for a picture. They obliged. And after the picture or the shoot was over, or a couple of pictures that I clicked, the husband said, "Alok, it's nice that you're doing this when you're 32. But make sure that you continue doing this till you're 55 or 56 or my age or even beyond that. And make sure you climb higher peaks than what you've climbed this time." Now, to be honest, I don't remember the names today. But I remember how they made me feel. I remembered how inspired that I was at that point in time, which is why I remember the story even today. And if there is something that I want to make sure that I'm as fit, as hale and hearty at 55, when I'm 60, and still be able to climb mountains at that time. So that goes for experience inspiring youth. But then, cut to the other side of the chase. Now, I have this nephew who is 7 years old. He's sensitive, he's intelligent, he's smart. We're talking about my nephew. But then, there is this ritual where once in a while he comes to my place to speak over, and we tell each other stories. Now, his stories are all about him and I going to Jurassic Park for some reason. And he wants stories where I tell him how him and I go to Mount Everest at some point in time. Now, a couple of weeks ago, this guy was in Nandi Hills with his parents, and he had to do a 700-step trek. He completed that, and when his parents asked him where he got the enthusiasm from, he said, "Now I'm preparing for this trek with Alok uncle to go to Mount Everest. That's how I got the enthusiasm to do it." There again, when this parents told me about this incident, I felt inspired all over again. Now, it's not just experience that needs to inspire, like Toastmaster Vedya rightly said. Inspiration can come from anywhere. But then when I tried to peel this entire inspiration, aspiration theme a little more, like inspiration and aspiration, there is one more shun that is missing here. What shun is it? Anybody? Take a guess. Perspiration. Toastmaster Ratan Shetty is in full flow. Perspiration. If you remember, guys, a few weeks ago we had this theme. Genius is 99% perspiration. Last week it was initiative. And this week it is inspiration and aspiration. Probably we could have done it the other way, but we are here. And all the ideal ingredients that we want, inspiration, aspiration, perspiration, initiative, that was probably what Ralph C. Smithy had in 1924 when he founded the Toastmasters movement in Santa Ana, California. And in 1924, we are in 2023, in 1 year, we will be at 100 years of the Toastmasters movement. And for the guests here, the club that you are privileged to sit today has a history of 25 years. We are celebrating our 26th year this year. And again, our club has been a blend of all these ingredients. Initiative by our founder members, inspiration by our veteran members, and the constant perspiration by our younger members who keep the movement going, who keep the club going. Now for all of you present here, a typical Toastmasters meeting has ideally 3 parts. The prepared speech, which I prefer to call the aspiration segment, because there are speakers who are aspiring to be better speakers and they come here and deliver their speeches. Second segment is the impromptu speaking, the perspiration session, because you don't know what's going to happen on stage. You're going to come here and expect a lot. And the third one is the inspiration session, where you take the feedback, go back, and come back and speak to become better audience and better speakers. So this for you is Toastmasters, a typical Toastmaster speaking in essence. And today, as the general evaluator, we have a good friend of mine, a natural conversationalist, someone if you start speaking, he'll just take the conversation along. And I remember him speaking 7 years ago when I was a young member of this club back in 2016, 2017. The one thing that stood out for me that day, and is the same thing that stands out for me today, is his power, the power in his voice. When he speaks on the mic, the voice modulation that he generates is aspirational for me. I would definitely want to imbibe all these qualities of voice modulation whenever he speaks on stage. Now, he has told me that if you ever want a job in a sales startup, you can always reach out to him. Or a sales job in a startup, you can always reach out to him. For the gentleman who is presently working with Jnani.ai, please put your hands together for the GE of the day, Toastmaster Karnataka Day. And as assisting Toastmaster Karnataka in this role is the tag team. As the timer of today, we have a Toastmaster who is the president of Daffodils Club and has successfully completed 1000 meeting, Toastmaster Jeevan.
Very good evening, everyone. Age doesn't matter, but today time matters. As a timer, I'll be making a note of all the time taken by each and every row takers. For the prepared speech, I'll be showing this green card at the end of 5 minutes, and yellow card at the end of 6 minutes, and red card at the end of 7 minutes. Thank you for this. And for the evaluator, 2 minutes green card, 2 minutes 30 second yellow card, and red at the 3 minutes. And I request all the roll takers to be stick to the time limit, and over to the.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Jeevan. As the art counter for today, we have someone who has been kind enough to take the role at the last moment, walk with me in the rain. He's a true friend, Toastmaster Vishal.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry I'm drenched. Bangalore weather is more confusing than my crush's messages. Okay, no laughs there. To all the engineers, what does a clutch do in a car? No answer. It cuts power from the wheels. So clutch words like and aha, they cut power from your speech, and I will keep a track of it and help you not use them in your further speeches. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vishal. Till today, I only knew that the clutch helps you change gears. Thank you for letting me know this additional fact as well. As the grammarian, again, we have someone who's got loads of humor, but unfortunately, he'll be displaying that in the grammarian store. Toastmaster Chief.
Good evening, everyone. As a grammarian, my role is to note the good usages in the speeches and in the meeting, and also note the not so good usages. And it's my duty to introduce the word of the day. It is called vigor. The R is silent. The meaning is physical strength and good health. It can be also mean enthusiasm and energy. He started his work with youthful vigor and enthusiasm. That is the response for today.
Thank you, Toastmaster Chief. With that, we're all set for the icebreaker marathon. Are we?
Yes.
Wonderful. To evaluate the first speech, we have a Toastmaster. I've seen her for the last 3-4 terms. She's someone who's always willing to volunteer for a role or support someone who's taking a role. Please put your hands together for Toastmaster Chaitra.
Good evening, everyone. The speaker is delivering an icebreaker speech. The purpose of this speech is for a member to introduce themselves to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. Timer, please note the time limit is 4 to 6 minutes.
Now, for the benefit of the guests here, the icebreaker is the first speech given by a Toastmaster. So, if you are aspiring to be a Toastmaster anytime soon, please pay your full attention and encourage the speaker who is coming out. The first speaker of today is someone who told us last week that we used one crutch word every 77 seconds. I'm really curious to know what more insights he has about us and about himself. Please welcome Toastmaster Bram Nelson D'Souza.
Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. Good evening. A cold winter morning on the slopes of the Western Ghats, a small village Koppa was where I was born. 16th of January 2004, I was introduced to the family of the D'Souzas. My dad, John Singh D'Souza, is a IT professional working at Entity Data. My mother, Vita D'Souza, she's a nurse. Along with my parents, I was introduced to a set of amazing yet legendary grandparents. The best thing about my grandparents is, on my paternal side, my grandfather, he's a headmaster, Victor D'Souza. He has never tasted one drop of alcohol till date, nor smoked a cigarette. On my mother's side, my grandfather smoked his first cigarette at age 13 and takes 2 pegs of brandy every day. I do not encourage smoking or drinking, by the way, and both of them are even till now alive and healthy. So when it comes to schooling, I was at a bit of adventures. I was a bit on an adventurous side. I started my schooling in an all-girls school. I was the most famous boy. So I was among the 11 boys in my class. So all girls knew me back then. All girls knew who Brian D'Souza was, even though I was in primary. So after that, my dad decided to put me in a challenge and change schools from all girls to a co-ed. I didn't like it. And from state syllabus to ICSE. Who likes it? So fast forward to my class 8. So a quick question: who here have had the chance to sit beside your dad and go to write an exam? No one, no. I have. So in class 8, me and my dad embarked on a journey to get a license in amateur radio. In India, to operate radio equipment, you need a license, which is the amateur radio license. Me and my dad, I missed my class 8 photo to write the exam. Me and my dad sat beside each other and cleared the exam. Now we both have a license in grade 2. As I told, I did not like ICC. In class 10, I failed continuously and continuously. Right before my boards, my class 10 boards, my third pre-board, I failed in 4 subjects. Physics, chemistry, biology and computer science. The 4 subjects I chose. I did something, struggled in 1 month and passed the exam with 75% score. After that, I moved on to St. Joseph Boys High School here. In St. Joseph Boys High School, I fell in love with 2 things, cycling and debates. Debates is one thing I love even now, and in my class 12, I participated in 2 model United Nations conferences and 1 boat. Also the second part was cycling. I got along with my class 12 friends and cycled. Sometimes my dad knew where I was going, sometimes he did not. So my record in cycling was 86 kilometers in 1 day, which took about 5 hours. Thank you. I passed from St. Joseph Boys High School with 84% in sciences and went on to St. Joseph University to pursue my undergraduate BSc in Statistics and Computer Science. In St. Joseph University, there was a NCC squadron, the one Karnataka Army squadron. So on my orientation day, I attended the program, and there the associate NCC officer there told us we have received 200 applications for the squadron. I was a bit scared, but yet I applied. The interviewing process was rigorous. It was more detailed than my college interview. So it had two written exams, 1 physical and then 1 more interview, along with 3 months of probation. I was among the top 18 candidates to get selected into the squadron out of 200. After that, so the family was 4. Me, my dad, my mom and my sister, Venisha. She's doing her class 10 from Unique Convent. And there were yet new members to be inducted. One day, my friend from St. Joseph Boys High School, Arist, he went to Kabul Park. And he took a picture of a dog, a pup, and he posted up for adoption. I took my cycle and I cycled all the way to Kabul Park, 8 kilometers. And then I fell in love with my dog instinct, to be dog instinct. We took him home in about a week or so and named him Milo. Milo is 1.6 years now, and about a year later, I started volunteering at the dog park in Kabul Park where I adopted Milo. And one such day, my friend Dhruv, he came up with 4 pups and a box. So apparently what happened was, there were 4 pups which were abandoned, and then he came up asking for adoption. So I adopted one such dog, Kira. So in my family there are 2 dogs right now, Milo, Kira, and 4 family members. It's 6 now. There was one event which happened when I was in class 9. There was a speechcraft program by Mr. Robinson. I attended the program a shy boy and came out confident. That speechcraft pushed me to crack my HSC interview as well as many interviews in my life. So, fascinated with what speechcraft did to me, I now came to the Toastmasters Club here to improve my skills, to upgrade myself to another level. With hobbies such as photography, cooking, and cycling, and also running. This is Brian's sister.
Again, for the benefit of the guests, whenever a person delivers a milestone speech, in Toastmasters, we respect that and congratulate them with a standing ovation. So that's what just happened. Now the title of his speech was Since 2004. This is a TMOD's mistake. I had to mention this in the beginning, mentioning it towards the end. The title of the speech was Since 2004. It's beautiful, isn't it, how icebreakers help you know a person a lot better. Now, if you were coming here every week, we still could have known so many facets of Brian in 2 years that we know in 6 minutes now. Unless, you probably catch up with him outside the brandy. Moving on, to evaluate the second speech, we have a Toastmaster who is making her debut as an evaluator. She's someone who's always got a unique take on any topic or any role that you give her. Please put your hands together for Toastmaster Rashi.
Good evening, everyone. The purpose of the project for the member is to introduce themselves to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. All the best to the speaker.
Thank you, Rashi. The second speaker is an avid reader and an amateur badminton player. Now she doesn't want me to reveal any more because she is going to talk about herself. For a speech titled Me, Myself and I, please put your hands together for Toastmaster Bhavana.
I was brought up in and around Bangalore, and I've been blessed with lovely parents and an especially naughty brother. One thing I absolutely relish holding over my brother's head is the fact that I received more attention and pampering as a baby than he did. Because by the time he was born, all my mother's siblings were already married and got busy with their own families. Talking about my father, he's from Andhra. As a result of which, I happen to know Telugu too, apart from my mother tongue, that is Kannada. Now, coming to talk about my infancy and childhood, I can remember some events clear as day, and the ones I don't, I've been told about. From shoving little peas up my nostrils to pooping on my mama as soon as he came back home from office, or even hiding in the closet and scaring the daylights out of my mother. I've been told I was a mischievous child. But despite all of this, I was pushed to do well at school, and my grades reflected the same. So, another unique aspect about my schooling has been the fact that I've changed schools pretty every now and then. My father moved us to better schools as and when his salary improved, and that is one thing I'm ever grateful for, good schooling. So, but as a result of this frequent change in schools, a year there, a year here, and a year elsewhere, I could hardly make long-term friends. And I'm truly hoping that I can rectify that here at Toastmasters. And moving on to my middle school, I practically glided through middle school, and then 10th standard was out of nowhere in front of me. Here I was faced with the crucial decision to choose a stream after my goals. I chose science. I mean, I took science by choice. I still can't believe to this day. It was a stream that many of my classmates dreaded at that time. But I chose it. And in retrospect, if I would have known about all my options at that time, I think I would have definitely taken arts. So I chose science, which meant that after 12th I was left with MBBS or engineering. I chose engineering against my father's ardent opposition. Because I wanted to show that even girls can do it. A little bit of a rebel aspect. And now coming to engineering, engineering was a great change of pace for me. Staying in a hostel meant that I had new modes of freedom. Having having roommates also meant that I had a lot of fun and fights, and in the process made good friends. And in the blink of an eye, 2 years passed by. And then, disaster hit. During my 4th semester, we heard news of a new virus doing the rounds in China. And by the end of that semester, it had reached India. We received guidelines from our college to go home for a week so that the spread of the virus can be contained. That week turned into 2 long years. I still remember, even after COVID had subsided, for quite some time I was still stuck in 2020. I was meant to be stuck in 2020. And they say time and tide wait for now. But COVID showed me that even it's possible to use this time. The thing that brought me out of that mental impasse was graduating. Graduated last September, and then I've been working ever since. I moved to Nepal. My parents have stayed behind 2 kilometers from this place, in a place called Bangalore, that is nearby. It was bittersweet, but I've been working for the past 8 months at Boeing. So it has been a new journey for me. There have been, however, quite a few things that have recently added a little bit of a splash and pizzazz to my life. One of those things has been getting a driver's license. I started driving recently, and I don't know how many of you can relate to it, but there is something about being in the driver's seat and cutting through the air with the wind in your face that gives you a new kind of freedom, truly liberating. And obviously, I should point out at this point, at the risk of sounding like a mutual funds ad, that driving at reckless speeds can be harmful to you. Also, the second one has been trekking. For me, when I climb a mountain or a hill, there is an apparent sense of accomplishment. So no matter how down in the dumps I am, it always makes me feel better. That feeling fuels other aspects of my life and adds vigor to it when it's light. Third one, and I bet it's dear to every one of us here, is a taste of independence. That's something like learning to ride a bicycle. Once you know how to do it, in this case, once you have a sense of it, there's no going back. So this is me. This is where I am right now, my dear Toastmasters and fellow guests. Wandering through uncharted territory, getting lost every now and then, finding my way back, and just trying to enjoy the sights along the way. And I'm hoping that I can explore Toastmasters as a part of that journey. Thank you.
Toastmaster Bhavana, there were a lot of things that I resonated with. Trekking, choosing sides, and wishing that they discount a couple of years from our life and put our birthdays back a couple of years and make us a couple of years younger because 2 years we were stuck at home. But what stood out for me was you showing a piece up your nostrils, because I did that too when I was in class 1 and I almost had to be operated upon. Yeah, so that's a bit of a connection there. Moving on to evaluate the third speech, we have a veteran who I prefer to call the smiling assassin. Please put your hands together for Toastmaster Joe Paul. Since it's an icebreaker, again, we'll excuse Toastmaster Joe Paul from reading out the guidelines. The third speaker of the day is planning to reinvent himself. He's already a DTF in the old CC manual, but he's trying to reinvent himself with pathways. For a speech titled "When You Have a Lemon, Make a Lemonade," please put your hands together for Toastmaster Gangadhar Krishna.
Hello? My knees knock, my heart pounds, and the door beckons me to run away. But I know if I run away today, I'll never come back again to deliver a speech. This was my icebreaker opening 18 years ago. Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and to all guests, wish you all a very good evening.
Good evening.
I'm standing here thanks to the pair of genes I inherited. My mother for her patience and creativity, and my father for his perseverance and that can-do attitude. I grew up with 5 siblings. I'm the youngest. As a normal kid in any big city would. I wouldn't take you to that part, but the part of 42 years where life threw challenges after challenges. It threw lemon after lemon that I had no choice but to make lemonade. I started working for the travel agencies and soon moved on to work for Air Canada. Now, it was a great start there with Air Canada, but in 1990 my daughter was born, and in 1991 Air Canada decided to suspend operations of India and Singapore. And that was the year Iraq invaded Kuwait. None of the airlines were recruiting. Starting a family on one side, losing a job on the other was not the best experience. Well, it's not the end of the day. I moved on to UAE and I joined a bank in their retail banking, handling auto loans. Now, on one side is airlines, the other side is auto loans. They were tangent careers. But that was the lemon thrown at me, and I had no choice. In 1998, I plucked a lemon, and we migrated to Australia, Sydney. I was working for a division of TNT Australia, handling the interstate couriers. To sum up the Australian story, it was more like we went, we saw, we didn't wish to conquer. So we returned back to UAE, and there I was working for Kone Elevators as a credit manager. By this time, lemon and lemonade was coming out of my ears. I said I had to do something about this. And with a kaleidoscopic career as travel agency, airline, retail banking, courier services, elevator company, I thought, what is common with all these organizations? And I found there's only one thing common in that. Everybody had a customer. So with that thought in mind, I started penning my thoughts in customer service. And after much perseverance with the newspapers, on 19th of May 2003, my article was finally published in the newspapers. From there on, there was no looking back. Because I realized that freelance writing was exciting me more than a 9-to-5 job. Not that I left the job, I had that. But I started seeing human behavior, service deliveries, customer experience, noting one-liners in my phone. And I found that it was very interesting. And at that point in time, I also came with a theory in service excellence, a simple yet powerful theory that could be used to any industry so long as you had a customer. But writing about a subject is different from talking about a subject. And that's when I decided to join Toastmasters. So you can speak about what you're writing about. During this time, one of my friends said, listen, you've got these one-liners, why don't you publish a book of one-liners? And another friend said, why don't you add illustrations to the book? Great idea, everything was looking very nice, exciting, but I searched the globe and couldn't find a good illustrator. If I could find a good illustrator, I couldn't afford him, and the one I could afford had no clue of customer service. I had shelved the project, almost giving it up. And that's when a Toastmaster friend mind you, Toastmasters help. Toastmasters friend came up to me and said, listen, my daughter is a freelance illustrator. Can you connect her with the newspapers? I said, forget it. Can she help me with my illustrations? And then, a smart girl she was, we sat together. I had 10 lines and a thought to ponder. I told her, you go to a store, you come out happy and excited, unhappy or all stressed and angry, 3 indifferent. So think about this, think about the 10 lines, and let's catch up after 3 months. We got up after 3 months and she was equally excited as I was about the whole project. And after 3 exciting years, we finally, in 2014, published an illustrated business book called Delighting Customers Is. Now, this excitement continued, and I thought from here on, my future is going to be more in training frontlines in customer service, coaching middle managers in employee engagement, and advising senior management on how to develop a service culture for their organization. One thing is clear, I don't plan to retire. Because I love to talk about the subject, so I will do it. And on a personal note, I would say that I keep my mind and intellect alert by studying the Bhagavad Gita. I keep the body active with cycling, running, and swimming. And I still have 2 things in my bucket list. I want to learn to dance, and I would love to learn to play the tabla. And to close, my knees still knock, my heart still pounds, the door still beckons me to run out, but having given this speech today, I know I can come back again. Over to you, Toastmaster.
If you are looking for a live example on today's theme, would you have to look further, ladies and gentlemen? Please put your hands together for Toastmaster Gangadhar. With that, we move on to the next segment of our meeting today, which is a special segment where we will be inducting and welcoming a few new members to our club. I hand the podium to Toastmaster Kamlesh, our VP membership.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests. Good evening. Whenever a new member wishes to join Toastmasters, we are required to conduct the induction ceremony. Today, it is our duty and privilege to induct 7 new members into the Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Today, we are here because we recognize a very simple yet profound truth, a truth which affirms that individually we can bring a small change, but together we can bring mammoth of change in ourselves. In the quest and the thirst for learning and growth, we are united and we are one. So together, let's go and invent new and better tomorrow. I will now call upon our new members to be one after another to join me on the podium. I would like to call Greece K. Now I would request all of you to please hold your applause until the ceremony is completed. You are joining an international worldwide organization which helps to improve your communication and leadership skills. Now you are joining the distinguished and celebrated Bangalore Toastmasters Club, which is one of the oldest and second largest club in the country. I, as a VP membership on the behalf of Bangalore Toastmasters Club, with all the colleagues express our pride and our joy in welcoming you to our club. I checked up with the Vice President Education, Toastmaster Shashank, and the mentors are assigned to all the new members. Now I request you to put your right hand forward. And to repeat this pledge after me. I, in the presence of my fellow members of the Bangalore Toastmasters Club, this firm obligation to attend meetings regularly and be prepared fully for each assignment, to apply myself to the projects outlined in the Toastmasters education program, to participate actively in the club, to evaluate others in positive, constructive manner, to build open, friendly relationships with my fellow members, and to bring other new members into the club so that they can also gain the benefits of Toastmasters. I will now ask members to stand up. Please put your right hand forward and you take the oath. We, the members of the Bangalore Toastmasters Club, pledge to support you in your request for self-development, to provide you with positive, helpful evaluations, to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere, to give you opportunities to help others, and to make your Toastmasters membership a rewarding and fulfilling experience. Thank you very much. Now you can. It is my pleasure to declare all newly inducted members of the Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Every Friday evening when you enter this Loyola Hall, you are now special members of the Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Now let's give a big warm welcome to our new members as they
step into a networking break for 5 minutes where you can stretch yourself, check the score of the test match, most importantly, relieve your bladder and receive your result. Welcome back to Toastmasters and guests. For those of you who didn't check the score, India having bowled out for 296. Yeah, Australia is 20 for 1 in their second innings. So go back home. The Hane was at 89. This was right after lunch. moving on to the next session. So that's the extra bit you get at the event. Moving on, we have the next session, which is the table topics session. And before coming here, I spoke to the table topics master. Because he was the table topics master, I wanted to put him in a bit of a spot and ask him. So I flipped the theme. I said, Toastmaster, experience aspires, youth inspires. What is your take on that? And he was up to it. He immediately said, Alok, look at Amitabh Bachchan. He's 80, he's still aspiring. Look at Greta Thunberg, she's in her teens, she's inspiring. And look at her own club contest. A few months ago, all the youth of our club were giving speeches and inspiring us. And the experience was no way behind. They were still wanting to gain more accolades even after accomplishing a lot by being Toastmasters till now. I said, boss, you have to be the Toastmaster, table topics master for today. Toastmasters, yes? Please put your hands together for Toastmaster Ranjan Shetty as a table topics master.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests.
Good evening.
Table topics is something which a lot of people who've come to Toastmasters for the first time, they relish this portion of the meeting. And I actually have not been able to pinpoint what is the reason why. Probably it is that unique kind of perspiration which it entails. But at the end of the day, the jitters are really worthwhile when you come onto the stage and you speak for those 2 minutes. Now, I want to give you a couple of tips for those who are giving table topics for the first time. The first is, speak not to impress, but to express. Which means that the only person whom you have to impress is yourself. The only person who has to really say something, or rather give a voice to one's thoughts, is oneself. The second thing is, second tip from my side is three ways in which you can approach table topics. The first way is to talk about the past, the present, and the future. I'll give you only one example for lack of time. The other two methods I won't give you example. For example, making a bed. I used to hate making a bed once upon a time. I am used to making a bed now, and I am quite okay to do that as a family member. And going forward, as an aged person, probably my niece will forbid me from making my bed and ask somebody younger to make it. Now, the second way in which you can approach table topics is speak for the topic or against the topic. And sometimes when you are confident enough, you can speak on the pros and cons as well. So that can take you to 2 minutes. The third thing is, if you have an anecdote that comes into mind, or a story of yours that you want to share, first give the fact, then give the story, and then give the fact. So these are the three ways in which you can approach past, present, future. You can give a pros and cons approach, or you can give an anecdote and sandwich it with some facts. Say what you are going to say, put the anecdote, put the example, and then talk about the facts. Is that okay? Yes. All geared up? Yes. Daring to go? Yes. Yes. Okay. So the first topic is, the time limit is 1 to 2 minutes. Time manager, at 1 we have to give the green card, second 2 we have to give the yellow card, and at 1.5 the yellow card, and at 2 the red card. So the first topic, to thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. And the speaker is Toastmaster Sharma.
Good evening, what a life. Money, possessions, fame, it may come and go, but what remains forever is your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sharma. Moving on to the next topic. If you were to write an autobiography, what would its title be and why? If you were to write an autobiography, what would its title be and why? The speaker, Toastmaster Puneet Surana.
This was a very standard question I asked the guests on my podcast, thinking it would be a nice shortcut to get the episode title. And I did that for like the first 40 episodes. And I suddenly realized the title of the autobiography of their lives did not really match their journey. Instead, it matched with what they thought was happening in their lives. And so, if I ever write an autobiography, if I ever do, there are already too many amazing autobiographies. I don't think I ever will. I almost wrote one actually. Oh yeah, I actually almost wrote one for 40,000 words when I was like 19. And it was called Capitalized College and Startup. Surefire ways to build a successful business before your graduation day. I had the world's largest publisher on board. We had 40,000 words in. And then I deleted it because I thought it wasn't good enough. I did not yet live a really interesting, amazing life to pen it down. And so I would instead urge you all to not think of your autobiographies, just live your life. And someday somebody will just stop you, you look at it and say, hey, you should maybe just write it all down. And a publisher will come into your life and pay you money up front, like they did to me. And then you please do it, we'll commission it for you. And I hope that happens to all of you. Though I don't know how many of us will read it, but I hope it happens to all of you. Thank you.
Moving on to the next topic. All is fair in love and war. All is fair in love and war. The topic goes to Toastmaster Vijay Kalpuri.
All is fair in love and war and competition. So whenever we are born on this earth, right from the day we are born till we go to our tomb, there is a lot of competition that we encounter, right from in our home, it can be siblings, we go to school, and over a period of time, that competitive spirit takes over us and we think that I have to win this by hook or crook. So that's when this sets into us, which says that all is fair in love and war and in competition. So we want to get it by hook or crook. But over a period of time, like as the individual grows, he realizes that this competition is not worth winning. Sometimes we realize that, okay, after fighting a lot of competitions, we find that it's not worth winning. That's when we mature and we leave up the competition and settle in for wherever we are. That's when we have actually arrived. So whatever the vigor what you have when you start your journey in life only matures when you actually realize that all is not fair in love and war. It's okay to lose some wars to win the greater part of that.
Moving on to the next topic. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. The speaker, Toastmaster Polappan.
Be myself. I get till now I didn't find what is me. About me also. How can we be myself? I'm thinking I'm an average student. That can't be like great about me. And I work for more than 5 years, and went to study MBA. But in that, I can tell about great about myself because I had a fear of I became old, and if I go to college and study, what the girls will think and what the professor will think. And I saw my professors are younger than me. I was scared on the first day. Then somehow I managed. I'm also on the way to complete my second sem. It's like completing my first year. I'm trying to be myself, and I have some inspirations, but that inspiration also changed. Now I had an inspiration of Dhoni. After seeing this IPL, that also changed. I am shifting to some other person. Thank you.
I move on to the next topic. Actions speak louder than words. A Toastmasters order. Actions speak louder than words.
Action speaks louder. So basically, if we are speaking something and our action, our body language are not matching with what we are speaking, it means that we are trying to make other person fool. Okay, so sometime back, I think a few months back, I met that definite sometime. And it means that that person can't talk anything, and whatever he is saying, that everything can be shaped. He can only express not by sign language. I don't know sign language, so I can understand his figure. And he was asking for some donation from me, and then I decided, okay, when I agreed to that guy, okay, I am ready to give you donation. And when I saw the expression on that person's face, it had, it is much bigger and louder than any word or any expression. So this is something a classic example of how action without any word, any sentence can express everything. Thank you.
The young at heart are a class apart. The young at heart are a class apart. Request Toastmaster Robinson to speak on the topic.
Simple topic. Young at heart are a class apart. What a topic to speak. Yeah. We learn a lot, but I learn a lot from the extras than from the speakers. Because they are the inspiration for me to do everything, or anything that I would like to do again. They are absolutely innocent, pure heart, as compared to seniors. Grown-up people, they always try to impress rather than express itself. On the other hand, go to the children. Spend some time with them and imagine how they feel. Innocent souls. And I can learn a lot and lot from them. That's what I at this age find solace from them to inspire myself.
Your attitude determines your altitude. Your attitude determines your altitude. Toastmaster Priyanka.
I'm sure the topic is such that all of us can resonate to it. If we all have the right attitude, no matter where we're standing, that will be our altitude. People will come towards us. If we start throwing the wrong attitude towards people, unknowingly or knowingly, people will start withering away from us. I think that is something that we all need to be very conscious about when we interact with people, irrespective of wherever we have come from or the workspace we are. It is very important we acknowledge every people. It's very important we greet. That is something which of late I really see in the corporate world. As soon as you enter the workspace, everyone is so immersed into their laptops. At least being in the IT industry, that is something that I observe. Everyone is so immersed in their laptop, they just forget to acknowledge people that are there around them. Even to say good morning. Sometimes I wonder after COVID and we all have come back and connected, do they even know who are your people, the colleagues that you're working with? And this is something which I found it very, very absurd. And me being a little crazy and out of the box sometimes in the IT industry at my, in my workspace, which I consider, I go in the morning and I kind of very loudly wish everybody gives me weird stares. So it is something which everybody found me very weird initially, but fortunately, that has helped me kind of break the gap that was there among the colleagues. And now I think we all sit a lot together, talk a lot, less of work, but still we give productive work. And we enjoy our workspace, enjoy our work. So that is something that I would like to say attitude is something very important over here.
The next topic, talent does what it can. Genius does what it must. Talent does what it can. Genius does what it must. Speaker, Sampath.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I was asked for a prepared speech so that I thought that I can escape from this table topic. I can talk, but I don't have spontaneously. I have to bring points to deliver. Anyhow, I will try my level best. Yeah. So, one more time. Talent does what it can. Genius does what it must. Okay. So, I can even I don't have enough points to deliver this speech. I can take somebody as an example. Famous cricketer MS Dhoni. So talent what can do it, and genius what does. So talking about Dhoni is and also it can relate to the topic. Experience inspires. Is he is 42, and over a period of time he is growing, shining in the fastest pace. Usually the cricketers would retire at the age of 30, 32, or maximum they can play up to 35, but still he is 42, he is doing great, and after he retired from international cricket, he is representing Chennai cricket team very well, and even the people who doesn't watch cricket loves Dhoni in Tamil Nadu, and even Dhoni himself says in many interviews that he is adopted by Tamil Nadu people. So I believe that what he is today got done by only his talent, and I can say kind of his genius in cricket as well.
Next, the topic is genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. What do these words mean to you? Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. What do these words mean to you? And I request Toastmaster Suhas to come up.
Genius is 1% inspiration, putting in everybody. So, whenever I go outside, people check me. When I go to one shop, he cheated me, and I saw a genius inside him because usually people don't cheat me. I was very happy that he cheated me because I got to learn something different from him. And it was I noted how people cheat me. Because in future I can protect myself. So these people are like a genius. It's a good thing for me to learn, and so sometimes genius people become genius by putting themselves in pressure and certain circumstances. Because if we sit at home and do nothing, we get nothing to learn. We need to go outside. We need to observe people, how they think, how they behave, how they act. We need to analyze them. That is genius. So, thank you.
One more round of applause to all the speakers today. A loud round of applause, please. In line with today's theme of experience, inspire, and the youth aspire, all these quotes are from people who really inspired us, and it's not the table topic master who's written these quotes, but kudos to all the people who've been behind the thoughts which have led to these quotes. And with that, we come to the end of today's table topics session, and thank you all for being a wonderful audience.
Well, Toastmasters Ratan, if all these great personalities made those quotes, it was you who brought them together with us and made us perspire a little bit, if I may use that. I hope all of you enjoyed the session for a lovely table topic session. A round of applause for Toastmasters.